Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of Smart Money Sundays, where we kind of break down what we expect to transpire in the coming week in the market. So, as usual, we're going to be starting off here on Euro USD. Okay, and obviously, last week we had kind of the FOMC announcement with the rate hikes, which caused that volatility to the upside on EU. And initially, I was looking at this as a potential accumulation, and FOMC being the catalyst for finally a higher time frame retracement. Obviously, we did not get that, and it ended up being just an excuse for a retracement and a pullback here on EU, trading right into this supply. You see the reaction and the follow through back down to the downside. Okay, and this is kind of where we have to zoom out and kind of decipher what actually is going on here. Okay, and upon further analysis, obviously we've been talking about for a while now that EU is trading into deep discount. Okay, we talked about the fact that this is not a protected low. This low right here was not protected, as this low did not produce a new high. Okay, so we fully expected price to trade back down into these regions here before we might see some type of higher time frame reversal. Okay, and so obviously, as we said, this was not a protected low, certainly got run out. Okay, and so currently what I'm looking at is the fact that price never did take out previous month's low. Okay, as you can see here, previous month's low has been protected. Now if we zoomed back down onto the lower time frames, let's look at the previous month's low. Okay, this is the previous month's low. Now, looking at the 1 hour time frame, what do you think happened here? Okay, this being the previous month's low, looking at this, people were to look at this as a break of structure to the upside, ultimately their stop losses would be below this. Okay, so that people would be looking at this as a lower high, lower low, higher high. Okay, looking for a higher low, and then stop losses going beneath the previous month's low. Okay, and so ultimately, upon this push up, we should have been expecting price to railroad back down to the downside to seek out the liquidity resting beneath previous month's low. Okay, and so ultimately, this is still going to be my target. You can obviously look at this as equal lows here, and I'm sure some of you are. I can see it plain as day as well. Okay, and of course, we'll mark it off. And we'll kind of look at these levels as a potential for a reaction. Okay, potentially. Here, okay, you can look at this as kind of a POI for some type of push higher, maybe through these highs, but ultimately, like I just said, I am expecting our previous month's low here to be run out and for price to dig all the way down into the last point of return within this accumulation here. Okay, so I'm expecting potentially 104.50 before we see some type of significant rally to the upside. Okay, and we just haven't achieved that yet. Okay, again, doesn't mean we can't see some type of reaction here. Doesn't mean this can't hold for a certain amount of time. But just keep in mind the fact, understanding trader psychology with this low, high, putting a stop loss here, putting the sell stops here, okay, pulling that liquidity beneath this low, okay. So that's what I'm looking at on EU. Obviously, this would probably be more valid if we had gone ahead, taken out the equal lows here, okay, and then broken structure. That would have been more significant for me, okay, but we only ran the lows, okay, and traded into the supply here where we've had a reaction, okay. So you would be essentially trading against lower time frame and higher time frame trend, just taking this with a limit order, okay. So you obviously could, if time and price aligns, if you get some type of London session open sell to buy and a break of structure, why not? Okay, that would be valid to take risk in my opinion, but I certainly wouldn't place a limit order in this region. Okay, because ultimately we know where the liquidity is that we're seeking. Okay, so hopefully that gives you some perspective on EU. I do expect ultimate upside. Okay, I just don't think this is ready yet. I want to see some type of maybe reaction here and a big, massive spring. Okay, I want to see that volatility injection. I want to see the divergence, higher time frame, and the real confirmation of a trend shift on the higher time frame before I even change my mind on Euro USD. All right, so hopefully that makes sense and gives you some outlook and perspective on fiber. All right, so let's look at cable very quickly. And obviously we've been talking about this one for a while as well. Looking at this from a higher time frame perspective here on the weekly time frame, and if you watched previous episodes, I wanted you to treat this as if this was the 1 hour time frame, okay, where we have equal lows. We have the engineering of liquidity here. Okay, we have the sell to buy, the break of structure. Okay, we have the ultimate liquidity to be run here, and we have a POI to be met. Okay, but treating this as if this is the 1 hour time frame, if you were looking at it up here, you would have wanted price to come down into discount. Okay, on the time frame. Well, this is the weekly time frame, and we're finally in discount. Okay, so here we ran liquidity, sell to buy, break of structure. So we can pull our fib and look at what kind of discounted levels. Okay, and for me personally, I want to see this thing dig a little bit further down into the 71, 78.6 pocket. Okay, that for me, if we start to see accumulation, I will really be looking for those reversals here. Okay, and then obviously just straight sell-offs for 3 weeks straight. This would be a low resistance reversal to the upside. There wouldn't be much stopping it once we're ready to go, if that makes sense. Then we have trend line liquidity to take out, relative equal highs to take out, this old high to take out, and ultimately POI here on the daily time frame to be met. Okay, and you can see the negative 27 aligns perfectly with this old high, so even this old high potentially be taken out, 1.5. That's the ultimate target. Okay, and that would align with our expected dollar weakness, hyperinflation, which we've been expecting for quite some time from a fundamental perspective. Okay, so just a little bit further to go here on GU in my opinion, and that would align with continuations a little bit further down on EU as well. Okay, so here's that 78.6, 71 pocket. You can even scroll left, and you can see the inefficiencies here on the daily time frame. This is where we ran out that liquidity, the last point of support here. So potentially coming in around 12250, 12000. Okay, so that kind of 250 pip range. We want to see price, okay, enter into our POI here and really start to slow down in momentum. Okay, we really want to see the kind of break of structure, the run on the low, okay, and the ultimate spring, okay, the sell to buy, confirmation, and then we shouldn't have much problem as we head up to the upside. Again, like I said, low resistance, okay? But until that point, obviously, we are looking to continue to sell this thing, okay? So if we get back up into premium here on the 2 hour, 1 hour time frame, okay, here's our FOMC, kind of sell to buy. Okay, we come into demand, demand fails. Okay, this becomes our new supply. I would like us to, if we could just pop up, get another shorting opportunity here at 12550 area. Okay, we can get one more swing potentially to the downside. Okay, keying in off of this level here. Okay, so that is my perspective on GU. Hopefully you mark these levels off. Understand that we are indeed trading into our higher time frame levels. Finally, right? Obviously the markets have been somewhat difficult to trade as we've just been kind of dying. Okay, that makes it more difficult as opposed to having kind of clean wave play, right? That's easier trading. But when markets are just dying, and then it makes it more difficult to figure out precise POIs for continuations. Okay, but finally we are starting to trade into these levels, so just pay attention to time and price and how we react within this range throughout the week. All right, so the last one I want to talk about, actually I'll do two more. Let's do GJ, and this one is obviously somewhat similar to GU in that they correlate. And for me, I'm really liking this because of the draw on liquidity. Okay, I really like these equal lows here. I think that's going to be magnetizing price. Okay, these equal lows. And so I'm looking for excuses to sell into equal lows. I love when there's engineered liquidity that we can target. That gives me more conviction behind my bias, where I'm looking price to go. And for me, I've already kind of laid it out here. Okay, but we have this sell to buy. Price trades down into the sell to buy, fails to create a higher high. Okay, breaks through. So this becomes our new supply. So I'd like to see if we can pop up. Okay, obviously into this level. Okay, potentially get a nice, 71, 78.6 pocket. Okay, and then take this thing down into equal lows at 159. Okay, very simple, very straightforward in my opinion. That's why I really like it. We have the beautiful target at 159, round number, equal lows. Okay, so go ahead and mark that off on your charts, especially if we get this thing London open or New York open tomorrow. That'll be really nice. We can pop up here so we can target those lows. All right, and kind of the last one I want to talk about today is gold, and I don't usually particularly enjoy trading gold, but I do like this up close candle here, and I do like the fact that on the daily time frame we actually have a nice pool of liquidity down here. We have 1, 2, 3 equal lows at 1677 that I think we could potentially target and draw out first before we go ahead and run out, okay, these relative equal highs here. Okay, and that's obviously a long way to go, okay, but I think ultimately this is most definitely going to get run out. Okay, but on the lower time frame, obviously a very nice up close candle here. This kind of area. Go ahead and mark it off. Okay. Now you can see we are somewhat creating higher highs and higher lows here, so I would like it if we can, it would be better if we can go ahead and break down, create a new low, trade back up. Just like that. Okay, that would be really nice. On the contrary, it becomes inherently riskier if we just trade up into this now, although I really do like this candle. Okay, but I wouldn't necessarily just place a limit right off the bat. I would wait for the confirmation to break a structure on the lower time frame, then we can take it on down. Okay, but I really do like this candlestick as a POI. So go ahead and mark that off, and let's see what time and price gives us coming into this week. All right, so that just about wraps up this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you mark off the levels. I hope you've taken some value from this video as usual. It is free for everyone. Kind of give you guys my perspective on a few pairs coming into the week. Obviously VIP, we send daily market breakdown videos in depth, kind of explaining what we're looking at for each day ahead and marking off all of our potential POIs so that all of our clients are well prepared to trade themselves and pair our analysis with their own. All right, so if you're interested in joining, feel free to message us on Telegram at Ariel FX Trading, and we'll be happy to get you set up and involved with our community. All right, have a great week and safe trading.